What's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Philly to Detroit Boxing, man. We got another special guest on with us today, man. Our guard Marco, man, All-Star Hilo. What's going on with you, man?
All right, man. Thank you for having me, man.
No, man, you already know, man. Like we was just saying, like before we started recording, I've been following you for a long time, man. Just following your whole journey, even before you fought your fights in the pros, I was following you. So I'm kind of hip to your journey, but kind of let the people know how you got started with boxing, and just kind of how we was just talking about how you got introduced to Mustafa and wanted to go down there and train with him.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I started boxing when I was 20 years old. I was actually in college. I was working. Um, I was playing baseball prior to boxing. I played for like 7 years, and I had a dream for it. But as I got older, the dream started like fading away, and I started like making money and things of that nature. And I always, as a kid, though, I always wanted to step into a boxing gym. My father, at the time, with times was rough, so he couldn't really get me in there. So I was finding other ways, other talents and stuff like that. And baseball was one of them. But when I turned 20 years old, I finally had the money myself to step into a boxing ring, and I did, and I loved it ever since. You know what I mean? I never stepped out of the gym, and I was out there in New York for about 3 years, on and off. You know, because at 20 years old, you start having fun in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
You kind of like I was dedicated. I loved it. I used to run every day and all that, but I was still trying to balance, you know, my outside life with boxing. I didn't know if I was really gonna take it all the way because you hear stories when you come to as an older person, being 20 years old coming into the gym, you start hearing little rumors of you can't start at this age and
yeah.
that what I mean you're a little too old and you're not gonna really have a good journey. It's gonna be rough. So I've always been the type of person that I would go against the odds. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say I could do it. I feel like I can't do it. So as time went on, I really started believing in myself more. And then COVID hit. When COVID hit, everything in New York shut down. Everything all over shut down really, but in New York specifically, it was like it was it was a it was a zombie land. Nobody was outside. Nobody. You couldn't go train with nobody. It was and I remember I was on Instagram, and I've been following Mustafa, and I saw he was still open, running, and he had people training and things of that nature. So I was like, man, I really want to go down there. Prior to me actually making that initiative to go to Atlanta, about in December, um, I was hitting up Mustafa like, hey man, I'm gonna come down there for like a week. I wanna try, getting some sparring in, getting some training, getting some ideas. And I remember specifically it was certain moves he was teaching that I would try to incorporate inside of my sparring. And I used to send him videos like, hey man, I'm working on this, and he would give me some tips or whatnot. So me and him, we kind of had a little communication before I came out here. And then when COVID hit and everything was dead out, I was like, you know what, the household, me and my pops wasn't really, we weren't clicking. We was going at it a little bit. So I was like, I'm about to just leave. I'm about to make a move. And I did it. I mean, I ain't looked back. I went out. I came out here. I ain't know nobody. I went straight to the gym. And Mustafa was like, first person I met was my boy Ray from out here too. And he was actually training in there, and he was like, "Man, who coming to see you? Coming?" Because he never seen me around, so he's like, "Who you out here to see?" I was like, "I'm here to see Moo." He's like, "Yeah, he not here right now." I believe it was the end of Ramadan, so he wasn't in the gym that day. But he just so happened to have a client coming in, I believe, the next day. So I came back. I went to my hotel, and then I came back, and it was like a Sunday or something, and I came in, I caught him, and we were talking for a minute. And he was like, "You gonna you want to come?" He was like, "You got somewhere to stay?" And I was like, "Nah, I ain't got nowhere to stay. I'll put a tent right outside your house. I mean, your gym if I had to." And he was like, "What? You got it?" I was like, "Yeah, man. I came here just for this. That's all." And he was like, "Nah, man. You can sleep right here on the gym. I mean, on the ring inside the gym." I mean, I was like, "Bet that's all I need. That's all I needed to know." You know what I mean? That was the door opening for me. So Ever since then, I locked in and I stood it.
No, man, that's love too. You know what I'm saying? Just for him to take you in like that. And then, of course, you hear stories about him just being a good dude from everybody he kind of worked with, man. I mean, I haven't heard nothing bad about Mustafa for the years I've been following him. You kind of hear these, just little things throughout the boxing world about certain coaches and things like that. But man, I've never heard anything negative about Mustafa, man. Just kind of how he teach the game and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask you too, man. Just in terms of how he teach the game,
Mhm.
um, was that different from what you had learned just the small time you had in New York? Because I know he teach more so the Philly shell, the shoulder roll, low lead hand, things of that nature. Was
Yeah.
that different from what you started off with? Because a lot of coaches don't teach that. A lot of coaches steer away from that style.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. I think you see Mustafa, he's a he's the type of person that he's gonna study the game really, really well. Like when I met him, the man, all he did was look at film. You know what I mean? And he give you fights every day throughout the month to watch. You know what I'm trying to say? So it wasn't per se just the Philly shell. He's teaching the sweet science. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And it's like the best way for you to defend punches, the best way for you to, get in the ring against any competition and come out without harm, that's what he was teaching. You know what I'm trying to say? And it was you Philly shows involved in there, cross blocking, even high guard. He taught me high guard before. So it's a lot of people think that it's just that. No, it's really more so of this of situational. You know what I'm trying to say?
no, facts. Just kind of depending on what like you said, situation you gotta get in or what your opponent kind of put you into.
Right.
You may have to go Philly shell. You may have to go cross block. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, facts. And just in terms of like your amateur career, how was that? You know what I mean? I'm assuming it was kind of short. I know you started at 20 years old. You had your two pro fights, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your amateur career and how did that go for you?
Amateur career was mainly in the gym. It was no, like, I only had three amateur fights, and then plus me coming out here during COVID, there was no fights really going on.
Right.
So all my work, all my training, all the things that I worked on was in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first amateur fight, it was against another novice dude, but like, and no disrespect to the dude, of course, but when the bell rang, it was like I've already seen punches from pros, from amateurs that have a lot of fights, and I've already seen it so much that I already saw that he wasn't on the same level. So that fight was like I got him out of there on the first round, and a lot of fights was like that after that. Well, not a lot. It was only three fights, but the next fight was a little tougher. The dude was bigger, but it was the same thing. Like I had that I had already faced adversity outside of the fights.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
of course the fight after that it was a little tougher as well, but I was able to adjust and switch up, and there was no fights after my third amateur fight. We didn't have no fights, and then I kept sparring and getting work, and dudes in the gym was like, "Man, you ready to turn pro?" Some of my teammates that was turning pro at the time, and Moo was saying the same thing, like, "Hey, man, you could turn pro if you want to." But I was like, "Man, I don't know." Like, you hear that's another thing. You hear people say, "Yeah, you need to have a certain amount of amateur fights."
Yeah.
The way Moo explained it to me was like, "Look, man, pro style is a certain style. Amateur style is a certain style. You could develop an amateur style, and it will make it hard for you to turn pro."
Mm-hmm.
And I was always told, even from the time that I first started boxing, that I had a pro style. I'm more patient. I'm waiting. I'm trying to see your flaws and your openings and things of that nature. And that's why, like, I felt like when I came down to move, it was like it was perfect. It was a perfect connection. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, fact. And talk about the doghouse a little bit, man. The old doghouse. I know y'all moved a lot. I know he switched the location eventually. But everybody seen the sparring y'all had going down in there, man. Just like the crowd, it seemed like one of them Floyd videos. You mean the atmosphere was crazy, man. Just talk about that atmosphere and kind of how that helped you kind of develop your confidence in your game.
Correct, correct. Now, yeah, the grindhouse, man.
The grindhouse. That's what the
Yeah,
grindhouse. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was like one of those things you can't. It was a once in a lifetime thing. You know what I mean? Like that journey. It was like you're gonna really create that dog inside of you. You know, the ring was very small. The gym alone was very small. He used to. There was no AC in there. You know what I'm trying to say? The training alone was so intense. You know, we would train early mornings for 2 hours, and it was blazing hot. Mirrors was fogged out. You can't see nothing. You know what I mean? So it was like, and we drenched in sweat, and that was how our morning started. Then after in the afternoon, we would have some sparring. You know what I mean? So in the evening, we got sparring, and then training again after that. If coach was gonna take it there, um, the sparring was like, you know, the intensity was like a fight. Everybody around the ring talking junk. Cameras is out. You know what I'm trying to say, and coach let it be known, hey man, y'all better do what y'all gotta do in there. I'm not in there with y'all. Take the skills that I teach you and use it. Against whoever. It could be outside work, it could be inside work, whoever it is. And yeah, that's how. And then just seeing a lot of other work too. Because not just me working, but seeing other people work and seeing how intense it gets. It prepares you. It gets you like, okay, okay, I gotta get right. You know what I'm trying to say? And I've seen some great work in there as well.
No, yeah, man. No, again, everybody, the kind of seen a glimpse of, at least a little glimpse of. Obviously, we ain't seen everything, but we done seen a lot of videos of y'all getting down in there, man. And it just seemed like a crazy, just like a wild atmosphere. It really seemed like one of them Floyd type atmospheres and Floyd type videos. You know what I mean? And that what kind of really, I feel like, really drew a lot of people to y'all, man. And Mustafa alone, you know what I mean, to really kind of gain y'all notoriety in the game, man.
Yeah.
Uh, but kind of speak about how some of the people that kind of helped you get ready, man. Obviously, the gym was kind of loaded with a lot of guys. I'm not sure they real names, just like yours, but obviously I know like Mo Millions.
Mhm.
You got Snipe. Mac Truck obviously was in there. Like he went viral a few times.
Correct.
Kind of speak about some of the guys that learn from and some of the guys that kind of helped you get better.
Correct. I honestly feel like everybody in that gym, from the best, experience to the lowest, really helped me in that gym, honestly. Just paying attention. When you're in the gym atmosphere, a lot of times, you can undermine the less experience. But they come in and they trying to get as good as you as well. They help you as well. But I'm gonna say, from the work that I was getting when I first came, my boy Berto, Jason, Tay, um, Snipe for sure, Mo, D Mike, then later on Brian Norman. Um, um, but if you, because he went to three different gyms. You know what I'm trying to say. So that first one was specifically where it got me to the pros. Now, if you want to talk about further, there was a lot more work that I had got. But it was definitely some good work coming in and out of that gym.
No, absolutely, man, for sure. And just kind of like what we was kind of speaking about off camera as well, man. Just kind of, I know you haven't fought in a little minute. Kind of speak about that and how you trying to kind of transition back into the game. Obviously, with you being a father now, balancing that as well. What's it kind of like?
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It was the first year of me stepping out of the gym, and getting focusing more on my outside life. It was tough. It was real tough. I had to make some adjustments. Of course, when I came out here, I wasn't working. I was just in the gym, dedicated my entire life to the gym. So when I found out I was gonna have a kid, I had to really transition and say, okay, I need to get me something you know, on the back end, make sure that I have something prepared. So if anything happens, and it just so happened when my kid was on the way, my daughter, my hand was broken. I broke my hand that my second pro fight, so I didn't have anything. Coming in, I had nothing going on. I wasn't training like that, so kind of mentally that could bother you.
Yeah.
So I was really like, man, I need to get on the move. So I started getting things going on. I got my phlebotomy certification, and then it was still rough because with just phlebotomy, you're not gonna make enough for a family. So I was still trying to make my way back in the gym, and I was pushing myself, and I think I was trying to rush it a little bit too much when I was coming back in the gym and things of that nature. So I kept coming back out, and I'll go in and come out, go in, come out, you know. But then when I found my electrician, the electrical trade, and I came in as a first year apprentice, and I was like, you know what, I kind of got things more stabilized now. My time now is better. I work very early, get out at 1. I could find training between like at least 1 to 5 and get some sparring in. And now it's like starting to flow a little more.
Yeah.
So but it's different because I'm not, wake up, brush my teeth, take a shower, whatever, train, and then, it's not that no more. But I think that I got that when I was living in the gym, I got enough to where I can focus on those areas that I know I was lacking on then. Now, you know what I mean? In that short period of time that I have to work, I could, just really lock in on that.
Right, facts, facts. And just kind of going back to your pro career, man. Obviously, 2-0. Give
Yeah.
us a little bit of your experience of walking into your first pro fight. Just experience of taking those fights. Obviously, getting both wins. What was it kind of like? Finally getting that experience.
It was dope. It was real dope. A lot of people came out for me that I didn't think would come out. It was a lot. I had a lot of support, so it was beautiful. Family, friends, everybody from the gym. It was dope. Uh, my first fight, I was a lot more turned up, so I was able to get him out of there pretty fast. The second fight, you see, I had my daughter on the way. I had a lot going on at that time, and I wasn't as focused, I would say. So I kind of, and then me thinking like, when you in your first few fights, I'm trying to build myself up. So the dude, they got everybody saying, yeah, it's a can. I'm like, okay, bet. I'm gonna take him up out of there easily. And then, that the video of the dude, he's in front of me and he's walking off behind me and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's like,
yeah,
I was like, okay, like this dude coming to fight. I even know his record don't, but he coming to fight maybe. So, the bell rings, he throwing a little son. He not talking about nothing, but it's just like at that moment you feel like almost like you lackadaisical almost. You know what I mean? Like I'm
yeah,
kind of like I'm still chilling. I wasn't getting too much work outside because I'm still again I'm maybe even underestimating the dude. So I dropped him the first 30 seconds, I believe it was. And I was like, okay, I got this. And the bell ring again. I'm trying to turn up. I'm trying to get him out of there. And everybody, I hear my coach, relax, calm down. And he caught me one good time. Like, what I mean? So I came in, but of course, having those moments in the old grindhouse, you know how to take a shot.
yeah.
Stay
Hell yeah.
working. So automatically, I got caught. I'm thinking to myself, okay, cool, I know. But then it's also like, nah, I can't let this happen. I gotta wake up. So I woke up, relaxed. Started moving around a little bit, seeing different openings, and I got him out. I was able to get him out of there eventually. But as I'm getting him out of there, I got him in the corner, and he kind of put his head in a certain angle. He dropped it low, and this is I like when they I've heard this before. You learn when you mess up, you learn more than if people are just telling you. You're just trying to train to do the right thing. You don't know that what it is to do the wrong thing if you never did the wrong thing. If that makes
Right.
you know what I mean.
No,
So
facts. Yeah.
I was throwing my five like a left uppercut, my lead uppercut, and I was throwing it with these two in the back. I was trying to catch them with my back knuckles as opposed to these right here. And you're never supposed to try to hurt somebody with these knuckles. You know what I mean? So I'm hitting him, and I caught him on his forehead, and I broke this knuckle right here.
Mm.
I felt it right there and then. I kept on throwing it. I stopped him, and when I walked to the corner, I was like, I don't know, coach. I don't know. Good, good, man. I was like, I don't know, man. So I was when I got out the ring and they took them gloves off, and I looked at my hand, I was like, ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a hard one to come back from. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, probably big as hell. Probably what was it like, swole as hell?
It was like a golf ball right here, man. It was just right in that area. I was like, yeah, I snapped it for sure.
No, man. Then it just kind of going into them fights. Obviously, like I know you said, kind of, you weren't really thinking too much of the guy, but I know obviously the just like the natural nerves kind of kick in. What are those like for you? Obviously, coming from the grindhouse, y'all used to the pressure on.
Yeah,
But what was it kind of like the nervousness? I just like to get the input from fighters, just who've taken that walk. You know what I mean? What was the kind of the nerves like, the butterflies? Give us that experience.
it's it could be nerve wracking. You know, I could say I'm more of a type of person that I don't feel it like the what's going on until like right before I step into the ring. You know what I'm trying to say? The day before you feel it, you like, oh snap, I'm about to go do my thing, but I don't know. I think life, prior to all of this, it kind of, I was raised by my father, so like he always instilled having a calm mind growing up, through whatever you go through, just have more of a calm mind and don't try to let your emotions take over. So I've always practiced that since a kid. So I would, I feel the jitters and things of that nature, but I'm not really letting that control how I feel, how I see what's going on.
Right, right. And then I wanted to kind of go back to the, obviously how the Mustafa kind of teaches his boxing style. How would you kind of describe your fight style, just from your own point of view?
Um, I would say I'm more of a like I'm an adjusted fighter, if that makes sense. Like I'll only work according to who's in front of me. You know, I came to the grindhouse more of a slick style. New York got that slick style. We
Mm,
take, we trying to move our heads, counter things of that nature. But when I came to the grindhouse, it was a small ring. If you look at a lot of dudes like Mo, Snipe, they are taller than me. They're linkier than me.
yeah,
I mean, coaches automatically, then he's letting me know like, yo, listen, you can't be on the outside with these dudes, especially in this ring. You're gonna have to work your way in. So that's when I developed more of a come forward style. And I can say honestly, I now, even when I get in a bigger ring, I feel comfortable going forward or going backwards. I could do either one. Even just sharpshooting, you could sit in the park. I could sit in the pocket and sharpshoot. Uh, yeah, that's how I would really describe my style. I have some good speed. I got some good pop. Um, my IQ is there as well. But it's funny because I even put it on my bio, be formless, shapeless like water. I'm more of like I try to flow with it.
hmm.
I say,
No, in fact, just let the game come to you. That's when you probably at your best. You know what I'm saying? When you ain't really got to think too much. I kind of like I like comparing it to kind of like hooping. When you see a good hooper, man, who just out there
yeah,
flowing, man, he ain't really thinking about it. He just crossing niggas over, man. He not thinking about it at all. I kind of try to compare it to that, like you know what I mean. You just flowing, you slipping punches, you rolling. You don't even feel it. You ain't even trying to do this. It's just happening.
correct.
Uh, no, man, facts. And then kind of, man, I wanted to ask you too, man. Just kind of, who are some guys you like to kind of study, man? Is there some guys you like to take game from? Any guys you like to watch?
Oh, there's a lot. It's a lot.
And I know you said Mustafa gave y'all tons of film too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Is there like you saying like in the game now or back then?
No, man, yeah, anybody who you feel like you've taken the most from to incorporate into your game.
Um, uh, what's his name? The white Muhammad Kawi. That was one dude because I didn't have the come forward slick style like that I was studying like all day. I was trying to, learn how to come forward with that head movement, like that Joe Frazier kind of style, not getting hit, coming forward, countering shots and going to the body. And then Mike McCallum was another one.
Mm-hmm.
James Toney for sure. Roberto Duran. Uh, Roberto Duran was another one that I was studying a whole lot. His inside game was amazing. It was amazing. Um, yeah, Larry Holmes, Riddick Bowe, Tim Witherspoon's. The list could
Yeah,
keep.
you could go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love watching them old school dudes, man.
No, man, facts, man. Just kind of like, just speak about like what you kind of like to do when you're not training, man. Obviously, I know you getting back into the game, man. But when you're not thinking about boxing, man, how you kind of spend your time? Obviously, I know you got the daughter, man. But how you kind of try to enjoy yourself, man, and kind of wind down?
I've developed a liking for reading now. Within the past 3 years, I read a lot more now. Also, I've always been an artist. I draw. I've been drawing since that was my first talent. To get away from a lot of stuff, I draw. I love to draw. I'm starting something now that I'm about to start doing with my art and start putting it out there. You know, anything I got my brother. He's living with me. I brought him down from New York to live with me as well, and he's training as well. So I help him, get right. And yeah, other than that, I mean, I love being around my peoples, man. I'm not really like a person that just likes to, get away from everybody too much. I love being around people, my peoples especially that that love to support me and things of that nature.
Yeah, and I know you've been down to you've been in Atlanta for a little minute now, but how was that transition from like New York to Atlanta? Obviously, it's two different cultures, man. How was that transition? Just coming down from up there to down there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was tough. I came when I came down, I was in the hood out here, in Glenwood, so it was like it wasn't too much different. you-
Right,
but as far as the hood wise, but I'm saying like the main difference I would say is just the lingo, the culture, the music is a little different, but how you get around is different. You need a car. New York, I don't need no car.
right.
I could be making a lot of money without a car. You know, I would say the biggest thing that I've also noticed is that there's a lot more independence down here. Everybody out here is trying to get their own business, their own stuff solidified. New York is more of I'm trying to get what I can get for right now. You know what I mean? So I could get to the next, and what I'm trying to get right now is gonna be able to get me to the just even the next week. You know,
Right.
so it's a faster pace in New York. You know,
And then, man, I kind of wanted to get into the fights this weekend, man. Obviously, some great fights going on this weekend. Hold on, my guy in here too.
okay.
My
What's
guy.
what's going on? What's going on? My fault for the lateness, man.
Right, all right, what's going on?
What's going on with your champ?
No, it's all good, bro. I know you had to get Neff together, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, man, yeah, I was actually about to run through some fights with him. You could definitely, if you had a couple questions, definitely go ahead and get them in.
Well, no, you can get to the fights. What fights you was about to get into?
No, just as we was about to start this weekend, Ryan Garcia and them, obviously, big fight, Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, Teofimo Lopez, and Arnold Barboza. Great card, great weekend the cards. Canelo and Inoue back as well. But kind of just starting off, man, how you like that Ryan Rolly, man? Obviously, two guys talk a lot of shit to each other. I feel like they gonna clash. How you like it?
Um, I think Ryan. If you saying how the fight is gonna go, right?
Yeah,
I feel like Ryan. He's more fundamentally sound. He I think he could do a lot more. I think Rolly got more grit. He got more pop. And one thing that I seen from the Tank fight, he closes the distance all right. He's all right with closing the distance. So depending on how Ryan could adjust to that, what he can do with his lead hand and how he could, maybe even work the inside when he has to. that I think that will determine whether he takes the fight or not. It's still, I think it's up in the air though. Both them boys is hitting. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you think Rolly's best chance is like kind of like not sell out, but in a way kind of sell out, like really take it to him, kind of like how he used to fight, kind of like pre-tank knockout?
Um, that's a good question. I think he maybe even, if he said, like, if he goes out there and tries to work on the outside a little more, he might
Mm-hmm.
surprise Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Ryan maybe expecting him to come out guns blazing. So if he makes an adjustment and says, okay, let me work on the outside a little bit, because Ryan got a tendency of, if he's, from what I've seen in the Tank fight, if you're a little too patient, Ryan will try to turn up on the north,
Yeah.
try to take you out of there. So maybe if he try to work on the outside a little bit and wait for Ryan to come in and then boom, catch him with something, that could work as well. But maybe I don't know.
Do
No,
you
yeah.
think my fault? I was gonna. Do you think the sparring helped anyway? You sparred a lot of rounds. Like, do that help? Like, have you ever sparred somebody and then been in the ring with them 5 years later, and you kind of still could take something from a previous sparring, even though y'all both obviously got better? Can you still take things away from a sparring, even though y'all both got better, or you feel like not really?
Um, you could get a lot out of a sparring match.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you could learn a lot from a person through sparring. In my opinion, that yeah, if that person is not developing in certain aspects through those years, you can possibly, still get them with a certain shot late years later. Yeah, I believe so.
No, I feel you on that. Especially like you said, if they not taking the time to practice what they lacking in, then
Yeah.
yeah, they probably gonna be cooked the same way they was 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, cause you're a fighter, so you know better. Cause I heard some people say like it can help them, and then I heard some people be like, it happened 8 years ago. It's not gonna help them. They both got better, so you're a fighter. If it still could help, rather if a fighter got better or not.
And I'm gonna say this too. When you catch somebody in a sparring match, they remember that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
That you gonna remember. That's something that's not gonna leave. So I think that plays an aspect to it as well. Obviously, I've never been in that situation to where I got a big fight like that, and I got to get going up against somebody that I've previously sparred. But I feel like it can't though.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, effect. And then kind of going into the Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez, how you kind of like that fight? Obviously, Ramirez, he was a unified champ at 40. He not no bum. Devin not getting an easy fight to go fight the Ryan rematch. So how you kind of feel about that one?
Uh, I think Haney, that's a tough one, but I think Haney with that jab, man, he got a great jab that'll give any fighter, any world class fighter a problem to me. And if he's real sound with that jab, it's gonna be an easy night for him. But if Ramirez knows how to take that jab away, then it's gonna be a long night for Haney. I think that's the biggest thing right there, that jab. If he could get past that jab, then he would be able to beat Haney. Not, I think Haney got him.
Nah, I feel that because that's kind of obviously pre Ryan loss. That's kind of what people was kind of saying what was going to happen. We gonna jab the shit out of Ryan, and should have eventually opened up. But yeah, that didn't that didn't go down as
Yeah,
expected.
Ramirez got good left hook too.
Yeah.
And like I said, he pretty good at cutting the ring off. That's what he did good when he was in his prime. Still pretty decent on the
Yeah,
telling, but I still just want to see how Devin Haney even react to the shots, even
Yeah.
if he do win the fight. Because
facts,
like I
facts.
said, the last time he fought, it was we all seen what happened. So even if he win the fight, I just want to see like when he get hit with a clean shot, like can he still like fire right back or like do every clean shot kind of like stop him in his tracks now?
Yeah.
No effect. And then yeah, Tiafimo on this the last fight on that card. I think I haven't seen shit about an undercard for this steel.
Yeah,
I'm not
me
sure if
neither.
anybody. I'm not sure if it's an undercard, but for Tiafimo and Arnold Barboza, Barboza on a little run right now. He got two big wins under his belt the last couple fights. We know how Tiafimo get down as well. We know he a world class fighter, man. How you kind of feel about that one?
I feel like I got T.O. on that one. That's the one fight that I'm pretty like. I just think that T.O. gonna get him. You know what I mean? I see T.O. the type of person, he gonna step to the competition.
Yeah,
And he knows how to perform like to his competition. You know what I'm trying to say? Like if like we saw with Lomachenko, you know, he stepped to Lomachenko. Lomachenko was a grim reaper at that weight class, and he did his thing, and he was the first one to do it. You know, and then when he went against Josh Taylor, you know, he stepped in there against that competition and did what he had to do, and it was like, you know, he really shocked the world. You know, I feel like he looks real focused in there, and he looked like he's having fun again, like the way he was when he was catching them crazy knockouts. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think he might catch him.
no, I can see that, and we kind of always say that about To too, man. He kind of step up to the competition, man. When he feel like you could be a threat, then he about to, you know what I mean, step it up. So I'm excited to watch To fight, especially just with all the shit he talk. We always want to see how somebody like that perform. Uh, but man,
Yeah.
how you feel about that William Skull Canelo, man? Are you familiar with William Skull? Do you know about Skull at all, man?
Uh, Another my William Skull, man. I think that's a you know then you know he's a grown man. You know what I mean? That's what I've been told always. Never sleep on a grown man. You know what I mean?
Rex.
So ain't no telling. I think he's just getting by this. You know, just for now, and then he gonna probably get another competitive fight after this. I'm gonna be honest though. I don't think Canelo got too many more fights in him.
Nah, yeah, man. He almost 70 in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a 4 fight contract. You probably gonna hang it up after that.
Hmm.
Yeah, he almost 70 in.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, man. And then last one of this weekend, in a way, he got Ramon Cardenas. I feel like I've seen him fight prior, but I'm not too familiar with him. But I mean, it's in a way, man. I guess just how you feel about in a way. Do you feel like he's the top guy in the world right now, as he is on a lot of people's lists?
I feel like he's 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 up there. I don't think he's the I don't see him as top five. To be honest with you, I think he's real good. You know, it's just there's not that much competition down there. You know,
Hmm.
really speaking, you know, it's like there's not too many guys that's out there. You know, if Rigondeaux was still out there and he was in his prime, and Lomachenko was still down there and he was in his prime, and you know Rasheed Warren and all them boys, like, you know what I mean. Then it's like, okay, now we talking about some real comp, but you know the dudes that he did beat. What was the dude's name?
Cool boy Steph,
He
Stephen
was
Fulton.
it was the other dude though, the older guy that he fought during that award thing. It was like an
Filipino Flash.
yeah, yeah, Donaire.
Donaire. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was like that was the one fight that I feel like it was like, okay, yeah, you went a real comp right there. But other than that, I don't he's taking these dudes out easily.
No, he getting them boys up out of there, man. I ain't gonna lie. But now that he's starting to move up in weight, hopefully, like you said, we start seeing him against real competition. Again, as he's moving up a weight, I'm assuming he should be going to 126 soon. He done already cleared 22 out. He just kind of
Yeah,
defending at this point. So we gonna probably start seeing him with some real fights real soon here.
so
Um, and then, man, yeah, I just kind of before we go, man, what's your main motivations for the game, man? What kind of really motivates you to really stick to it? Obviously, you don't have some time off that could really get to a person and really discourage them from even trying to continue this tough. You know how tough the game is. You know what I'm saying? It could really discourage a person taking some time off, and obviously, you starting a family. So what kind of motivates you to keep going?
man, just the love I got for it. My motivation for it, and like, a few last year it was kind of going away because of me having to work, me me, putting in all these hours outside of my house, of trying to make money, and like, things of that nature. But I started really seeing that I can do it again, and when I started picturing that same vision that I had when I was in New York, I was like, yeah, I could do this. It's without a doubt. And sometimes I know I see some fighters, they say, they kids do it, but to be honest, my if it was me thinking about my daughter and my family, I probably wouldn't be doing this boxing, because it's such a brutal sport. It's such a, it gets crazy in there. So it's just the love that I personally have for it, me personally. I have so much love for it, and I always see myself being on that top stage, no matter what.
Nah, real shit. And also, actually, this is the one. This is actually the last one, man. Where does Marco, man? Where you see yourself in the next 5 years, man? What's the goals for you, and how you kind of planning out these next few years for yourself?
These next few years, they're gonna be it's gonna be real. It's gonna be a lot going on, but it's boxing wise, I see myself fighting on TV without a doubt. And I see myself being a contender. I see myself in some great camps. I see myself around some great boxing minds.
My
So,
God,
yeah.
yeah, Marco, man. You wanted to ask him a couple more questions, bro?
No, that's about it, man. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm definitely going. We definitely gonna try to lock you in again for another interview.
Yes, sir.
No, facts, man. You got anything coming up for the rest of 2025? Do you plan on maybe getting something by the end of the year or anything like that?
Sure, for sure. I definitely see myself getting a fight before the end of the year, if not two.
Oh yeah, bet it up then. Yeah, definitely let us know, man. We locked in, man. I'm gonna support you for sure. I'll post anything you got up, a flyer, anything. So just let me know when you fight, and we definitely can lock in for another interview, get a little pre or post fight in for sure.
So I appreciate y'all, man.
My guy, bro. Marco, man. All Star Hilo on Instagram. Let the people know where else they can find you at too.
All Star Halo on Instagram, All Star Halo on TikTok. I don't really be on TikTok like that, but I'm starting to post more on there. So yeah,
Mhm.
TikTok as well.
My guy, All Star Hilo. Appreciate you, dog.
Sir, appreciate y'all, man.